chairman Julius Abure and the party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi calls for separate National Executive Committee meeting. Vice President Kashim Shettima receives Crown Princess of Sweden Victoria II at presidential villa. On the foreign scene, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger recalled the ambassadors from Algeria in response to the downing of Malian drone. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okwayemuni. Young demonstrators under the aegis of a Take It Back movement on Monday defied police warning and staged protests in Abuja, Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Rivers, among other states. The demonstrations is aimed at drawing attention to the alleged misuse of the Cybercrime Act, the worsening economic hardship in the country, and what organizers have described as a state of emergency in Rivers State. Clad in their signature orange berets, the protesters began their rally in Lagos at the Ikeja Underbridge, marching through major roads in the state capital while chanting solidarity songs under the watchful eyes of police officers. The Nigerian Police Force had earlier urged the movement to cancel its planned nationwide protest, describing the timing as ill-conceived and mischievous. However, in a response, activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore dismissed the police's concerns, rejecting claims that the protest was intended to undermine the National Police Day celebration. In Oyo and Osun State, members of a Take It Back movement held their peaceful demonstration in the state capitals with security operatives on standby to ensure no breach of peace. The situation, however, turned awry in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, where police fired tear gas at protesters at the Isaac Borough Park. Policemen gave the protesters a hot chase and beat up some of them, including journalists reporting the event. Like Rivers State, policemen dispersed protesters with tear gas in Abuja, which sent many scampering for safety. Sowore was also present at the Maitama area of the nation's capital to show solidarity with the movement.
Nigerian people! Yes, Nigerian people! We are here today because we have told the Tinubu regime that we will not accept the laws that contain our fundamental human rights. We express ourselves. Now, the police are aware that we have a march today. They said they have their own program today as well. But we have told them that their program cannot stand in the way of our own march. And we have told them that we are going to the National Assembly. If they like, let them mobilize and join us. In fact, we have told policemen in Nigeria that it is time for the police and the people to work together so that they can improve their own life conditions as well and their working conditions. Nigerian policemen are the worst paid in the world, but they keep killing the same people who are fighting for them. We are not going to accept that anymore. While we are here, Tinubu is busy enjoying himself in France. We are not going to stay back in our country when our president is censoring our rights. And we have told them also that the IGP of police that is leading the program today at Eagle Square is an illegal IGP of police. He must leave after 60 years. You must go! 35 years of being in power. That is the essence of our march today. Nobody can stop an idea. Nobody can stop an idea. As we are having this march today, it's happening in Lagos as well. It's happening in Port Harcourt. And these ones are rehearsals. The time will come where all Nigerians will come out and nobody can stop them. So
4 persons who were previously detained in connection with the fire incident at the Rivers State House of Assembly have raised fresh allegations, claiming they are being pressured to alter their original statements to implicate Edison Eye, the chief of staff to the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminala Ifibara, their Chime Ezebalike, Kenneth Kwasa, Oladile Lukman, and Macpherson Olumini, who were in November last year acquitted of the charges after about 6 months in Kuje Correctional Facility. At the news briefing in Port Harcourt on Monday, Balike said they were recently contacted by a prominent PDP leader in Obuja local government area to revise their narrative. According to them, the request was linked to a wider political scheme allegedly aimed at corroborating claims made by former head of service George Nweke in Abuja. They said the crime for which they were framed and now want them to rope Edison include the assembly fire, the gruesome murder of Bako and Bashim, a DPO in the Aolda area, and an alleged assassination attempt on the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Zamawule. They narrated the harrowing 6-month ordeal in the hands of security agents and political figures beginning in December 2023.
My name is Chime Balike. I'm here with my brother, Kenneth Goodluck-Pasa, and Mr. Macpherson Olimini by my left. Gentlemen of the press, good afternoon. We address you today as citizens, indigents, and residents of Rivers State who feel a need to set records straight in the light of the goings in our state and who became victims due to no fault of ours. Even after our ordeal and when we thought we could return to normal life, only a week ago, one of us was called by a PDP leader in Obiakpo, Lawrence Amadi, to come and meet with some of their leaders. Upon further prodding, he said they were reaching out to us to persuade us to rewrite our story in order to implicate Right Honorable Edison Ehie as the sponsor or mastermind of the fire incident at the State House of Assembly complex as a follow-up to former head of service George Nweke's press briefing in Abuja. This has prompted us to speak out as we do not want to be part of any nefarious act, especially after the torture we faced. For 6 to 8 months, we endured an unjust harrowing experience in the hands of security agencies and political actors. Our offense was because we refused to frame individuals, including the Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Government House, Right Honorable Edison Ehie, as masterminds behind the Rivers State House of Assembly infamy. Starting from December 2023, we, Chime Balike, Kenneth Goodluck-Pasa, Prince Lukman Oladele, and Macpherson Olimini, were individually and collectively subjected to arrest, intimidation, physical assault, and psychological torture. All of this happened between December 5th, 2023 and January 16th, 2024. At some point, we were offered bribes in exchange for our freedom, even though it was clear that we had committed no offense that warranted our being arrested and detained. 3 of us were known associates of Right Honorable Edison Ehie and Honorable Sukari Goodboy, while Macpherson was an unfortunate victim of mere proximity. Our ordeal began with the arbitrary arrest of Oladele Lukman on December 5th, 2023. On December 16th, 2023, Chime Balike and Macpherson Olimini were violently apprehended at Obakere Junction along the East-West Road while returning from a funeral in a Kata village in Ahoda East local government area. On January 5th, 2024, Kenneth Pasa was forcefully taken in GRA Port Harcourt by a convoy of no fewer than 6 Hilux vehicles. We were blindfolded and taken to the Federal Intelligence Response Team, FIB-IROT, along the Eastern Bypass in Port Harcourt, under the false pretense that the vehicle we were traveling with was stolen. It was later revealed that this was a ruse intended to force us into implicating Right Honorable Edison Ehie in 3 serious allegations.
Here in Osun State, the Chief General of the All Progressives Congress, APC in the state, Jamiu Olawumi, has criticized the Governor Ademola Adeleke-led government of what he called the continuous disregard for the rule of law. Mr. Olawumi, who spoke during an interview on WSTV's Morning Spring, accused the administration of lacking integrity by failing to obey court judgment. His statement comes amid ongoing battle for the control of local government areas in the state by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the APC. He also argued that the National Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, has no right to approach a regular court over the matter and should have instead taken its case to the Industrial Arbitration Panel.
What we see coming and which we are here to be bloodbath. Bloodbath is imminent in Osun State.
Why?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And it's going to be too bad for us to see, to look at the indices and certain indicators, and we now keep quiet. Because it's going to be a rain that will not do, that is not needed for agriculture. And you don't emphasize on whose roof is going to fall. Whether you are PDP, whether you are APC, we have friends and relations across the divide. You understand? I have my people who are in PDP. They also have people who are in APC. Even when you look at a typical example that one will, outside and Osun will not believe, is that we have teaming supporters as Governor Ademola has in Ede or APC. So when things like this are envisaged, you get worried because it's not going to do anything. It's a voluntary organization, not recognized in our statute at all. What's the locus of not going to go to court? The politicians?
They are a registered body.
They are not.
National Union of Local Government Employees?
Let me tell you, as industrial union, does industrial union take political matter to court or go to IAP?
Interested party, they will say.
But they should go to IAP. That's the law. They should go to Industrial Arbitration Panel, not High Court.
Actional National Chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, and the party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, have called for separate National Executive Committee meetings. The meetings, scheduled to discuss the future of the party, come after the Supreme Court's judgment that nullified the verdict of the Court of Appeal. The appellate court had recognized Abure as the national chairman of the party, but on April 4, the Apex Court set aside the judgment of the lower court and held that the issue of leadership is an internal affair of a party over which courts lack jurisdiction. On the heels of this development, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, announced Abure's meeting in a statement on Monday. In contrast, Obi, alongside Governor of Abia, Alex Oti, called for a stakeholders summit at a different venue scheduled to hold on Wednesday, April 9. Moving on, the presidency has debunked widespread reports claiming that President Bola Tinubu has sacked the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. The reports, which went viral early on Monday, alleged that Yakubu had been removed from office and replaced with a certain Professor Bashiru Olamilekon in what was described as a sweeping change in the electoral body's leadership. Reacting to the claims, the senior special advisor to the president on digital and new media, Ortega Ogra, described the news as false and urged the public to disregard it. He emphasized that any such decision or announcement would emanate from the office of a secretary to the government of the federation or another official communication channel. In the meantime, following the call by Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, RAB, for the National Assembly to withdraw a bill seeking to implement 6-month jail time and fine for eligible voters who refuse to vote during elections, some Nigerians have also protested, calling the bill unconstitutional. In this report, Lydia Adebaju spoke to residents in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, who described the bill as arbitrary and ill-timed.
Nigerians have reacted to the bill at the National Assembly, calling for the amendment of the 2022 Electoral Act to mandate a jail term or fine for eligible voters who refuse to vote in elections, describing it as unjust and a misplaced priority. The bill, which was proposed as a remedy to the perennial voter apathy during elections, will fix a 6-month jail term or 100,000 naira fine for defaulters. But in the words of Elder Segun Alonge, the bill is a matter that is dead on arrival, as he believed voter apathy would not be a thing if leaders were doing the right thing in the first place. He averred that politicians want to impoverish their citizens to maintain power, hence the reason for voter apathy.
That bill is a fluke. We all know how a woman gives birth to a child, except we are pretending. What is the cause of voters' apathy? That is the root cause. In a normal climate where people's vote counts, definitely there will be no vote apathy. And there will be no need for that bill. But politicians in Nigeria, like in some African countries, they believe in sustaining the status quo. They are perfect in rigging, and they have numerous laws that allows for that. How did we find ourselves in this situation? How can the president be nominating the chairman of INEC? How can the type of judges we have now that gives the politicians the audacity to say go to court? But because the judges are appointed by the politicians.
As much as voting during elections is an obligation for every eligible citizen, Mrs. Janrade Tijani, however, says citizens also have the right not to vote. She added that the hardship in Nigeria, as well as the security situation during election period, would not even encourage the citizens to vote.
It's by choice. It's not by force. Because of the present condition of the country, people won't like to come out to vote. Everybody is hungry. We are hungry. I'm also hungry. So an hungry stomach cannot come out to vote. In some cases, there will be crisis at the polling center.
Similarly, Dr. Wahid Lawal, chairman of Osun Civil Society Coalition, accused the lawmakers and politicians of coercion and authoritarianism, a phenomenon that is reminiscent of the military era. He argued that the government itself is not performing its obligation towards Nigerian citizens, but no one is jailing them for it.
So, and if you know that your vote is not counted, what is the reason for you to now come out and be voted? So they only need to encourage people to be voting, not compelling them. When they said there should be adequate shelter, and we have adequate shelter in Nigeria today, who is holding them responsible for not having adequate shelter? There shall be adequate food, reasonable minimum living wage. Are they paying minimum wage? Not talking of living wage. And it is in the Constitution. If they cannot implement what is in the Constitution, they cannot compel us to do what all they need.
For a trader like Mr. Wahab Ariyo, he enjoined the government not to be harsh in their decisions, but rather ensure better living conditions for citizens so that they can reap the dividends of democracy and therefore be encouraged to vote. In the meantime, residents have urged lawmakers to rather focus on more pressing issues in the country like insecurity, inflation, and high cost of living. Similarly, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on Senate President Godswill Akpabio and House of Representatives Speaker Tajuddin Abbas to withdraw the bill. According to SERAP, rather than criminalizing voter apathy, the National Assembly should create a safe and conducive environment, combat the impunity of high-ranking politicians who commit electoral offenses, and generally improve the electoral process to encourage the citizens to come out to vote. Lydia Adegbaju, Western Spring Television News.
The Presidential Comprised Natural Gas Initiative says it has attracted over $491 million investments and created more than 84,000 jobs within 1 year. Program coordinator of the initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, disclosed this while addressing State House correspondents. He said the number of vehicle conversion centers grew from 7 to over 200 since the initiative began. He said 10,000 conversion centers will be established by the end of the quarter, with work starting in December 2024. Engineer Oluwagbemi also blamed last October's car explosion in Edo State on economic saboteurs engaged in illegal fabrication of CNG cylinders, adding that they were arrested by the police.
In that last 1 year, we've attracted $491 million of investment to auto CNG, which has created 9,000 direct jobs and 75,000 indirect ones. If you also recall, to demonstrate the efficacy of the CNG and EV platform, CNG buses and tricycle as well as EV buses were procured on our behalf by the Federal Ministry of Finance. A total of 655 buses were procured. To date, 421 of those and 36 EV buses has been delivered, with deployment of about 405 buses, either as part of the settlement of terms with the NLC and TUC as part of the wage negotiation engagement. The influx of CNG trucks as our industries invest, and the over 30,000 CNG conversions undertaken by the private sector by itself, having quadrupled the CNG fleet of Nigeria, naturally will put pressure on our gas infrastructure. But the PCNGI is not relenting in providing solutions. First, we launched an aggressive last-mile gas infrastructure scheme, which we call the Refueling on Lending Program, that will provide equipment at cost for refueling to key conversion centers and refueling partners. 25 sites are built to benefit, and 15 states are slated for this. Already the first site in Kwara State is live, and Kogi, Ekiti, Rivers, and Abuja will soon join them before May 1st, 2025. By June 12, we shall have Kaduna, Abia, Enugu joining the fray, with Niger, Kano, and Benue following shortly thereafter. To further bolster this base infrastructure, we have co-opted our private sector partners to deploy over 150 new refueling locations in the next 18 months. NNPC have already deployed 12 sites, with 8 to go this quarter, making it 20. An approval for additional 100 sought and secured for the next 18 to 24 months to be deployed across the country. NIPCO has imported equipment for 32 daughter stations, with 22 in operation and 8 under construction. Bovas has 8 under construction, AY Shafa has completed 1 and 9 under construction. Entities like Ibilo Oil are developing additional 8 sites. MBH and Mikano are also investing in not just mother stations, but also, not just daughter stations, but also mother stations. Together, we are launching the Nigerian Gas Vehicle Monitoring System that will ensure only properly converted or inspected in case of OEM vehicles are refueled at our gas stations and operate on our roads, enforced by NMDPRA and FRSC respectively. The necessary steps to launch NGVMS are ongoing, collaborating with the Honorable Minister of State Gas, and we expect it to be in place fully by the end of the year, working with the 4 agencies I previously iterated. We won't relent in ensuring the safety of lives and investment of participants in the sector.
Watching this at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, Chief Justice of Nigeria cautions judicial officials against the risk associated with data breaches and cyber threats. We'll bring you more on these when we return. Welcome back, and this is still News at 7 on Western Spring Television. A reminder of our headline. Young demonstrators defy police warning as protests hold in Abuja, Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Rivers, among other states. Factional Labour Party National Chairman Julius Abure and the party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi calls for separate National Executive Committee meetings. Vice President Kashim Shettima receives Crown Princess of Sweden Victoria Desiree at Presidential Villa. On the foreign scene, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger recall their ambassadors from Algeria in response to the downing of Malian drone. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has cautioned judicial officials against the risks associated with data breaches, cyber threats, and online systems as they embrace digitalization. The CJN made a statement on Monday while delivering a keynote address at the opening ceremony of a 2025 National Workshop on Information and Communication Technology held at the National Judicial Institute in Abuja, represented by the Administrator, National Judicial Institute, Justice Salisu Garba. The CJN emphasized that as the Judiciary or Ibrahim Adejia, who led out to the VP's office, Victoria is on an official visit to Nigeria from April 7 to April 9, 2025. The Swedish Embassy says the visit aims to strengthen diplomatic and economic ties between Sweden and Nigeria. During her stay, she is also meeting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar and the governor of Lagos State. A significant highlight of a visit is the commissioning of a Swedish trade office in Lagos, which is expected to bolster bilateral trade relations. The Crown Princess had received Senator Shatima at the Royal Palace in Stockholm during his official visit to Sweden last October. Now to the foreign scene.